A lot of people are texting in the right answer of the song. We want wrong answers of the Harlem Globetrotters theme song. You ever seen the Harlem Globetrotters, Eric?
Yeah, I saw them as a kid at Maple Leaf Gardens many, many years ago when they were in their day, their prime. There was a mystique around them, a magical, the confetti in the water bucket trick. I mean, genius. How do you come up with that? It's genius. Only those guys could do that. Yeah, I've seen them. I love them. Absolutely.
Get this from Google. Google says their approximate record: 27,000 wins, 345 losses. I wouldn't have thought they would have had that many losses.
No way. Wow. Well, we all remember some of those lean years where they're, when Curly retired and they really had a tough time with their transition game, and some of the tricks just weren't tricking, like they. Trixie got suspended. There was that incident. Yeah, of course. There are so many different things happen. And Meadowlark Lemon, he just lost his touch there. He went cold for about 4 years, and it was really tough on their record for sure.
That's why you got to put in the work. Like, you have to put in the work, even if you're the Harlem Globetrotters. If you're doing Flames hockey tonight, can you maybe give some love to the Sports Cage and the Harlem Globetrotters record? See if anyone can guess that. But the Flames are in action, and like, all joking aside here, Flames are on a heater.
Yeah, and nobody in Calgary's happy about it. It's funny. It's I wrote a whole column on the fact they're 3 points out right now. They're closer to a playoff spot than they are last place. That's the first time this year they've been closer to playoffs than last place. And, people in this city are already starting to bemoan the fact that they're on that road again to the mushy middle. I mean, nobody travels that road more than the Calgary Flames, and that's clearly where they're going to end up, right in the mushy middle, just outside the playoffs. They're 3 points out of a playoff spot, but I have to clarify. They've played way more games than everybody else, and there's 6 teams between them and that final playoff spot. That's how it's pretty close. Like, look, I know there's still 50 games to go, but there's a tremendous amount of parity in the league, and you got to say something for that. That's pretty cool.
People in the YouTube chat are absolutely loving Eric Francis. Must watch twice a week. Eric Francis, love Eric Francis. Francis. I was listening to your co-workers on the Fan this morning because it came out the most punchable face in the NHL, and is it Cousins, Nick Cousins?
Yeah.
And then they're like asking people who's got the most punchable face, and I was surprised how many people said Eric Francis. I felt angry. Like, I wanted to drive to Calgary and just go shoulder to shoulder with you, make sure you're okay.
Well, I take these things pretty hard. I put a lot of stock in what people say in texts and online. I read every single comment, and I take every single one of the heart. And a lot of them are very constructive, and they're very helpful. They try to make me a better person. And I thank everyone for taking the time to do that, because there's no chance I've ever read any of their comments. I can tell you that right now. Maybe that's why everyone wants to punch me, because I've never read or responded to a comment in my life.
It's just all the Vancouver people. Speaking of that, I know some Vancouver Canuck fans, and they are just in shambles. Like, I know you don't want to slag on that organization because of the hate mail and everything, but and there's no way out of this. Like, there's no real light at the end of this tunnel. At least if you're an Oiler fan, you have the best player in the world and another guy who's pretty good. But for the Canucks, it's like,
you know what makes it worse? And look, I don't think there's anything that Canucks management can do about it, but like, they've remained silent through all this, right? Which I think you have to do. You got to go into lockdown mode and basically weather the storm and act the way you're going to act if you're going to make trades or whatever. But there are a million. Someone came up to me playing hockey this morning, and they're like, "Hey, I can't believe they're going to trade Quinn Hughes and grab all they wanted are players that are going to help them win now, as opposed to kind of reloading." And I'm like, "Well, where'd you hear that?" And they said, "Well, that's what I heard." So again, the magic of social media and all the ridiculousness of it all, everybody's got a different take on what they should do, but more to the point, everyone's got a different take on what they've heard they're going to do, and that doesn't help their situation. That just turns it into more of a storm, that's for sure.
What about Edmonton? Like Evan Bouchard's getting he's the whipping boy of the week.
Yeah. Well, they love their whipping boys in Edmonton. You know, they've had all sorts of guys over the years that just take a beating. Bouchard's been for the last couple of years now. You know, Skinner's an all-timer. He's on the list all the time. But yeah, Bouchard really, you know, and with every giveaway, it just gets worse. And he really is. Look, he's way more talented than a lot of people outside the market want to give him credit for. Some of his point totals and records in the playoffs are like hard to fathom. But he is a liability as a player, generally speaking. He's way too high risk, too high reward to me to be even considered for the Olympics. That, where one, right? Like, thank you. Like, you know, where one goal could be the difference in the whole tournament. You could have a guy out there where every shift he goes out there, you're going, please, 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 don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. That doesn't belong at the Olympics, in my opinion.
We've played with those guys. You probably played with a guy like that today. We've been that guy on the ice that people are like, please don't, please don't, please don't. I call it, I'm a liability. Don't put me out there. I'm a liability. We're trying to hold a lead. What are you doing? Yeah, no, that's just crazy talk. Detroit's in town tonight, and I think you got a chance to see them live already this year. Didn't you go on a swing through Detroit? I might be wrong, but what are you interested to see from Detroit? Because they're a pretty sneaky good hockey team. In their last 10, they've kind of cooled here, but they've won 2 in a row.
Yeah, I love the way you say it, sneaky good. Like, this is a team that it seems to me this year's that year they finally break through and make that playoffs. Like, I know we've said that for 8 years in a row, but you know, I do feel like they're the team that's going to emerge out of that 3 between Ottawa, Detroit, and Buffalo. Every year they always say, you know, one of them's due. It won't be Buffalo, I can tell you that. We just saw them on Monday night. That is for sure. And you know, Ottawa's a better team, I think their record shows. But look, Dylan Larkin is one of the quiet, underrated, really solid leaders in the league, you know, today. And nobody talks about him because the team's completely irrelevant for the last handful of years. But you know, him and DeBrincat and Kane, and like, they've got a lot of firepower, and they've got a lot of good, young, solid defensemen too. And this year their goaltending's been pretty solid between the two of them. So, you know, they're on the up and up. They're not a threat to anybody in the playoffs, but I like the way they're heading.
I want to play this clip because I woke up yesterday morning and I was having my coffee and prepping my show yesterday, and I saw this and I was like, again, you better not be talking about my Eric like that. I was getting angry, but actually so many Buffalo fans sided with you. Here's what you had to say on TV the other day.
You guys have been the poster boy for why you can't tear something down. That debate's been going on in this city for the last, couple of years now, and the point is always towards the Buffalo Sabres. You want to tear something down to the studs? Be careful, because you could end up being the Buffalo Sabres, and for 20 years, you're the worst team in hockey or thereabouts. So that's part of the ongoing argument, and we're seeing it firsthand tonight. This team's give a crap meter is almost shut off. They've got some talent. They've got some good pieces. So even though you go out and win a draft pick, like Tage Thompson is a great player, but without the team effort and the culture that's getting built, it means nothing.
Yeah, Dahlin and Thompson both scoring here, and we'll see what happens in the third period, because we still have a third to go and they're down 2.
That's professionalism. That's the work you do right there. But Buffalo fans were agreeing with you.
Is that right? I hadn't seen a reaction. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. So no, I'm dead serious. I didn't know. Like,
yeah, they were.
Usually fans get pretty defensive, but I would get it. And Buffalo fans, you know, I mean, they've been in the deep woods for a long, long time. And look, you know, it's a management issue, I think, in that city. They just can't seem to get the right management team together to make a difference. And look, Tage Thompson's getting completely wasted there. That guy's a top 20 player in the National Hockey League, completely on an island by himself there. Yeah, interesting to hear that they sided with me. So you're saying that when I go for wings next time I'm in Buffalo, this punchable face might not get caved in?
Yeah, and Buffalo's not a trip that I would spend my hard-earned money to join you on. We're going to save that for Florida. So you're on your own. You're on your own for that one. Be careful.
There's a group of guys in Calgary that go every year on a boys trip. There's like 12 of them. They're all dentists. They're good dudes. And I hook up with them in almost every city when they go. And the first time I met them was in Buffalo. We were doing a Buffalo-Detroit run. And I said, guys, like, I'm all for boys trips, but that's the worst boys trip I've ever heard in my life. Detroit, Buffalo. And then they explained to me that they're trying to get to every city in the league. And if that's the case, then yeah, obviously a lot of years you're going to have to take a bullet and go to places like that. But actually that rink in Detroit is, it's the best in the league. It's the best in the league. So that part's worth it. And the surrounding area is actually cleaned up a lot. It's pretty cool. But I can't sit here and say something nice about Buffalo. Sorry.
Dr. Tim Watley and his dentist buddies doing some boys trips. Let's talk a little World Juniors. Zane Parekh. I talked to Al Miller, general manager of the World Junior team, yesterday on the show, and I just said, there's those guys like Zane who a lot of people thought should have made it last year, didn't. And now he's got that fire, along with the guys that got embarrassed last year that are coming back, and he agreed. What are you expecting from Zane? Have you talked to him about it at all?
Yeah, I spoke to him about it. Obviously, in his words, he wants to basically kickstart his season. Like, he hasn't really started his season. The experiment with the Flames did not work. He, 1 point in 11 games, I think he had, something like that. It just, defensively, he really struggled. Offensively, he wasn't able to make his mark. He's just looking for a clean slate. He's hoping that this is going to give him his mojo back. I'm a little worried about him because he hasn't really played meaningful hockey in a while. He's been injured for the last month, basically, with an upper body injury. He's been cleared 100% on that. He skated today without his non-contact jersey. But, just jumping into the fray, like, it's not like you're going back to play game 45 in Saginaw. You're going into the Christmas tournament where all the best of the best at his age are going to be playing, and they're all going to be playing the hardest, fastest, best hockey of their lives. And so for him to jump in midstream, like, I'm really interested to see how he handles it, because he hasn't been able to handle it at the NHL level. And I know it's a drop down, but I'm just not, it's just not a walk in the park to just go, well, I've been in the NHL, I'm going to go back to junior and dominate. I don't think it's that easy. And I hope it is for him, but I caution people that it's probably not going to be that easy. Same with Misa.
It's gonna be an interesting watch. And then obviously a lot of people are like the players they left off and the ones that still could get added. Obviously, it's Saski here. A lot of us are hoping that Berkeley Catton figures out his injury and then Seattle lets him go. But we'll wait and see. This, and not that we're going to get into NFL and football talk, but Phillip Rivers, at the age of 44, is on the practice roster. He might actually play NFL football. Now, it's not a big deal of, his age. It's that 5 years away from one of the most physical, fast, and demanding sports on the planet, the NFL. And then I started looking at hockey players, and it's hard to decipher guys that went away. Lots of guys, Guy Lafleur, when he came back. A lot of guys have played when they're older. Chelios, Yager, obviously, Chara. But to leave a game and come back, have you anything come to mind there? Is it Guy Lafleur?
Yeah, Lafleur's probably the best hockey example, and he wasn't that good when he came back. I mean, Father Time had caught up with him, and he wasn't on a great team, and that wasn't great. But everyone in hockey is excited about it. Now, don't forget, Merrill Lemieux left the game to battle cancer and all these other injuries over the years. It seemed like he'd go a year and a half away and then come back. That didn't affect him at all. He was still one of the greatest players of all time, no matter what.
So good.
But you and I spoke just the other day about Carter Hart. Like, he's been out of hockey for 2 years, and I didn't think that it would be just as easy for him to jump right back in as he has. I think all 3 of his appearances have gone into extra time. He's 2-0-1. He's played really, really admirably for a guy who's missed 2 years. So now again, goaltending is different than a forward or a defenseman, but I don't know. It's the Phillip Rivers experiment. Hands up all those who think it's going to be a success. Come on. Ridiculous.
I equated it to watching Mike Tyson fight last year. And it's like, yeah, you want to see it, and Coulson rolled his eyes. I said, or when they dropped the bunny in the cage with the python, like, you're going to watch it, but it's like, how's this all going to go down? Yeah, it'll be interesting. Are you going to the Dome tonight then?
Head to the Dome tonight. I'm actually going to head there pretty soon here.
Here's what I wanted to bring up. Don Hewitt was with me yesterday, and he's another guy. He's like, I love talking to that Eric. Man, I wish I was here. And he said his son went to a game. Who was the last game? Was it Minnesota? No, Buffalo.
No,
Buffalo. He got in to the barn last minute for $8.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. They're having trouble right now. People are frustrated. There's no doubt about it. You can get into the Dome right now for dirt cheap, especially if you're willing to wait till the last minute. But even several days ahead, you can get in $40-$50 anytime you want now. Look, I don't think Calgary's the only team like that right now. I've heard similar stories in Toronto now. Different price bracket, like they're not getting it for $8 or $20 or $40. But I don't know if these are the dog days too. It's before Christmas. A lot of people are doing their shopping and partying, whatever it is. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I can tell you that it's a tough ticket right now in trying to get rid of it. Good luck trying to get rid of your season tickets if you can't go.
$8. You can't even get into the Circle K coming up in a bit to watch Maddox Schultz and Liam Pugh for that. That baffled me. All right. Get to talk again on Friday. We got Last Mountain Distillery in again on Friday, so I might have a few tip me backs. If you know what
adult bevies.
Yeah, and just another note, if you're on the TV today, Ant Atkinson, leading point getter for the Globetrotters all time. Meadowlark Lemon played 16,000 games for the Globetrotters, and Mushy Middle retired early.
Wow. Well, on Friday we'll go through the whole roster. Okay, I have a whole bunch of notes I'd like to share with you. It's a great story about how they kind of came apart and lost 300 and something games. That's amazing to me, and that's another example of how the internet's not always 100% accurate. Because I thought that they had under 200 losses. I was sure of it.
My Google
you say over 300.
My Google's been off though, so yeah, check what they got in Berta for Google. Mine might be a little wonky here. All right, buddy, have fun tonight. We'll talk to you Friday.
See you, bud. Cheers.
Yeah.